Number 10. What If? Since Disney's What If drops in mere weeks, we have to kick off the list with Volume 2, Issue 74, titled What If Mr. Sinister Formed the X-Men? In this What If, we find Cyclops and Havoc being raised by Mr. Sinister himself. What a happy, healthy home to grow up in. So Scott was leading this team of what he thought was heroes. The team consisted of himself, Havoc, Sabretooth, MADELYNE, PRYOR, and Sauron. So they of course ran into the X-Men, the current team being led by Marvel Girl, who Scott was immediately attracted to, page 15 and 16. Cyclops feels like he's known her his whole life at this point. He feels the connection and it changes his entire outlook on mutants. He only feels warmth and concern with her. But Mr. Sinister said they were traitors. How can this be? Maybe the guy named Mr. Sinister lied to Scott. Number 9. Mr. S. The alternate future of Earth X shows us a world that could go, well, either way. Every human was given superhuman abilities after the Inhumans' Terrigen Mists were released into the atmosphere. So now a team of X-Men just looks like a regular bowling team. They're a team of superheroes in tights in a world where everybody is a superhero. I mean, it just doesn't really look that cool anymore. In this future, Cyclops himself becomes a teacher and leads an entirely new team, because there's of course a handful that ought to be struggling with their new powers, like he once did. Scott led this new team until they were an effective unit, and then 3 years later, Scott and his X-Men team joined Mar-Vell in his journey to collect powerful artifacts to kill Death, and then, build a paradise in what used to be the realm of the dead. When Mar-Vell did kill Death, a new problem came to be. Now nobody on Earth could die. Which sounds pretty good, but it was actually really sad and everyone just got old and sick. So Scott would now communicate with the Phoenix Force, who is in the realm of the dead. Ouija board not included. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It really does help us out. You're amazing. Now let's get right back into this list. No more wasted time. Number 8. SCOTIUS SUMMERISLE. Scaling back to the year 1602, the era where if you could do bed mass, you were deemed a witch and then subsequently killed. That era. So superheroes existing back then would surely cause a stir as well. Mutants on this Earth 311 were referred to as witchbreed and were constantly being hunted down. Now when he was first found, his chest was branded with an X. He eventually meets with other heroes, most notably Carlos Javier, who saved his life and then invited him to the school of witchbreed. And no, I don't mean Hogwarts, the other one. Number 7. House of M. Scott Summers from Earth 58163, also known as the House of M reality. We find Scott in a much better predicament when we first see him in House of M issue 2. So this is a reality where Magneto has now lost the war and his daughter Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, lost her mind. She couldn't get a grip on her powers or reality for that matter, so Xavier gathers the Avengers and X-Men to figure out a game plan. They get to Genosha to talk to Wanda, but then when they get there, Wanda, Magneto, and Quicksilver are nowhere to be seen. Reality itself has changed. Peter Parker wakes up, and now he's married to Gwen Stacy, who used to be dead, instead of MJ. And then for Scott Summers, well, his life is great in this altered reality. He's happily married to Emma Frost, and they live in a mutant world. Layla Miller came in to break the bad news to Scott that this peaceful family man lifestyle was all Wanda's doing. So Scott was of course on board when it came to getting reality back to normal. Number 6. Scotty Noir. Coming from Earth 90214, the Noir universe, we get a darker take on Cyclops and also more realistic. See, in this universe, Xavier wasn't tapping into the minds of the world's finest, but instead he opened a school that trains sociopaths how to be the best criminals. It's dark and not just in style. I mean, the story alone, Jean Grey's dead body gets washed up onto the shores of Welfare Island, so the X-Men were trying to figure out a murder case. That led to them also discovering the deaths of police officers around the city. Just a grim tale. Now there's no spandex or monologue. Scotty instead wears a suit, a gangster hat, and just a red visor, for the Sin City look. And as for weapons, he carries with him a pair of twin revolvers. A little bit different than our usual 616 Scotty. Number 5. Summer Scott. AKA Starbolt, Summer comes from Earth 80827. She first appeared in New Exiles issue 9, the Soul Awakening storyline. She dives in during part 3. At just a young age, she was recruited into Emma Frost's X-Force, and the training here is quite brutal. Once her and her fellow X-Force team members meet the Exiles, they get defeated easily. Summer's team just isn't coordinated enough yet. But both teams later on combine their powers when they attack the French. Yeah, they take on a fleet in order to save the Queen. How epic is that? This universe's Bobby Drake, Orion, freezes the water while Starbolt rides a snowmobile towards the ship, of course using her optic blasts. It really doesn't get better than that, folks. I don't know what to tell you. Number 4. Basilik. Okay, a little less fun than ski-doos and the high seas. We now look to the Age of X timeline where mutants were despised and treated horribly. Scott, now known as BASILIK, first appears in Age of X Alpha issue 1. I made fun of Scott's visor in the Noir universe a little bit with like regular glasses, but here he doesn't even get one. In fact, he doesn't even get eyelids anymore in this universe. He now resides in Alcatraz where the guards control where he looks, when he looks, and who gets executed because of it. He's literally a living weapon. He finally figured out a way to control his mask and then he broke out, freeing all the other mutant prisoners, but that's a long time to not have eyelids. What a horrible, horrible time. He must win the staring contests that all the cellmates do. It's so mean. Sorry, Scott. Number 3, Sheriff Summers. Coming straight from the rootin' tootin' Wild West, Sheriff Summers makes his first ride in the pages of Extreme X-Men Volume 2, Issue 4. Dazzler and the team have to destroy 10 evil versions of Charles Xavier, and they of course have the help of, well, Xavier Head. The team meets the sheriff in the following issue, and he's blasting away on his horse next to Colossus, page 6. It's nice to see him here after what we just talked about. Now he's a sheriff, he's not a prisoner executing mutants. We're on the right path. I'm just kidding, evil Xavier was using him as a pawn. But we're getting better, we're getting better. Number 2, Ray Summers. The Amalgam Universe, so much fun. In the pages of DC Comics back in Smash Comics issue 14, the Ray made his first appearance. There's a link. He was exposed to extreme sunlight and lightning at the same time, and then in turn got these energy powers. So when you combine him with Scott Summers in JLX issue 1, you get the lovely Ray Summers, aka Apollo. While other amalgams are obvious and quite out there, like Super Soldier, Superman, and Captain America, this one's basically just Cyclops with more power. Sunlight makes Ray stronger, although he was raised from mutant-fearing parents that kept him locked inside, telling him the sun will kill him. Kind of like Nick Swardson from the Benchwarmers, for the select few who have seen that. The OG few who've seen that. He can absorb energy from the sun and blast it then out of his eyes. I don't blame the parents for being afraid, that sounds pretty wild. And finally, number 1. Ultimate Cyclops. The 1610 universe, aka the Ultimate Universe, this version of Summers first appeared in Ultimate X-Men issue 1. The team was younger in this run, so Cyclops was only in his teen years. But even so, he was leading this team. He would disagree with Xavier often, even going so far as to join the Brotherhood at one point. Scott can squash beef for the greater good. He allows Wolverine back in the crew, even though he previously tried to kill Scott. But he did end up with Jean Grey. It only took him a few years to get the courage to admit his feelings. Now, after his time as headmaster, Scott had a substance abuse problem. He was addicted to this drug called Banshee, so Jean had to help him through that one. Now, when Magneto's ultimatum wave hit New York and wiped out Scott's friends and teammates, he himself executed Magneto. But these wars don't end, so naturally Magneto's speedy son Quicksilver came and got payback using the same bullet that took the life of his sister, the Scarlet Witch.
Number 10, Zombie Dark Phoenix. This version of Jean does have some perks when it comes to power set, but ultimately her downfall is, well, being stuck in the Marvel Zombies universe, where many zombies get taken out by fellow zombie hero Hulk. Here, however, Jean is supposed to possess the Phoenix Force still, which in theory I think should have allowed her to resurrect herself, but maybe that works differently when you get completely punched to smithereens by the Hulk. But I mean literally, she gets punched through the torso and then the Hulk crushes her head with his fist in Marvel Zombies 2 issue 5. It's quite gratuitous because, well, Marvel Zombies. Still, however, in theory, the zombified version of Jean should have been considered one of the most powerful. And overall, for the zombie heroes, even being defeated by the Hulk, she was considered one of the most powerful, running with the zombie Galacti, aka Power Cosmic Zombies, on Earth 2149 or Earth Z prior to her death. Number 9, Ultimate Jean Grey. Ultimate Jean Grey ended up becoming the leader of Tian, which I think gives her a power boost, but on the other hand, she was not made as powerful as her 616 counterpart when it comes to her abilities, so for that, she gets moved down a peg. While telekinesis was initially Jean's main power set on Earth 616, here in the Ultimate Universe, Jean seemed to primarily be more of a telepath, who also has telekinetic abilities. Jean, as a telepath, can psychically cloak herself or others, but not against stronger telepaths. She can heal trauma or give you trauma by altering your memories. She can give others amnesia too, and use her telepathy to create vivid and realistic illusions. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list, if you want more lists about Jean Grey, or just more mutant lists in general, because I love doing those, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up, and maybe share it, maybe give it to a friend you think, needs a little Jean Grey in their day. Number 8, Jean Grey, Earth 18119. Earth 18119 is the reality reality of Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. It was destroyed and then incorporated into Doctor Doom's Battle World, and after the destruction of Battle World was then completely recreated and incorporated into the multiverse by Mr. Fantastic. On this Earth, Jean's power levels are comparable to her main continuity counterpart, but she also has the added strength of being a mother, which probably makes her both a more determined hero and teacher in this reality. On Earth 18119, Jean ended up breaking up with Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, after he lost faith in Professor X's vision, and instead ended up dating and later marrying Wolverine. Together they have a daughter named Kate, whose codename is Shine, and she's super cute. Number 7. Madeline Pryor. A lot of people think of Maddie as being a weaker version of Jean because she's a clone, but I would argue Maddie is either on the same level of Jean or at least has the potential to be at Jean's level or even more powerful. Why? Well, Madeline Pryor might be a clone, but Mr. Sinister also made her using a part of the Phoenix Force, which means that Madeline Pryor is kind of both Jean and the Phoenix Force all in one. She has like built-in Phoenix, which you'd think would make her connection just a touch stronger. Madeline, also known as the Goblin Queen, is also well versed in magic, something Jean hasn't really dipped into herself. I'm not saying she's more powerful than Jean Grey every day of the week, I'm just saying the potential for her to be more powerful here and there definitely exists, at least in my opinion. Number 6. Black Queen. This alternate version of Jean Grey comes to us from Earth 39529, which we get to peer into through 1989's What If series in issue 59. This What If asks the question, what if Wolverine led Alpha Flight? The answer? Well, the fate of Jean Grey would end up really dark. Wolverine becomes the leader of the Alpha Flight team due to the fact that the X-Men were unable to rescue him as their rescue team was killed by the Canadian military. Alpha Flight are the ones sent to rescue Jean after she ends up brainwashed by the Hellfire Club and joins them. Unfortunately, upon arrival, Wolverine learns it is too late as this version of Jean has already gone full Dark Phoenix. Logan has no other choice in this reality but to kill her in order to protect everyone else, basically on planet Earth. I don't know about you, but a completely evil Jean Grey who has gone full Dark Phoenix, it seems pretty powerful to me. I think Logan got lucky by even being able to kill her. Number 5. Jean Grey Earth 7642. This alternate version of Jean comes to us from a Marvel and DC crossover universe assigned the number Earth 7642. In fact, after her initial appearance, Jean from this universe would also appear in stories pertaining to her past in a crossover with the Wildcats, who were over at Image at the time. So just all the crossovers really. In this reality, Jean does become the Dark Phoenix, wipes out a star, and then takes her own life, much like in the main continuity version of the story. But instead of that not being the real Jean and learning that she was actually alive but hidden underwater, in this universe, Jean is resurrected by Darkseid, who intends to use her in his pursuit of the anti-life equation. The Teen Titans and the X-Men team up to defeat Darkseid and Jean, who then recovers her memory of her life before she was Dark Phoenix and turns on Darkseid, once more sacrificing herself to save everyone else. Ain't that just the way? Number 4. Apocalypse. In Age of Apocalypse in the reality of Earth 295, Jean ends up eventually taking on the mantle of Apocalypse. While she perished in this reality shortly after that happened, it's basically because she sacrificed herself in order to protect other people. As I said, that always happens. Jean Grey was so powerful as Apocalypse that she even managed to hold on to her own personality, but she could feel that influence of her new role working to change her, as she expressed that she did feel intensely arrogant, which might also be why she was cool going out the way that she did in the end. Cause you know, I feel like Jean wouldn't want to be fully taken over by that force. Number 3. God Level Phoenix. This version of Jean comes to us from one of the short stories featured in X-Men Millennial Visions 2000. In the story by the maker, we learn that Jean is one of the few to survive both Deathbird and Magneto's attack. Unable to stand against them as they are, the X-Men turn to a device Forge created to evolve them further, giving them basically godlike abilities, or raising their abilities to become godlike, perhaps I should say. Jean, as her power-up, gains full and complete control over the Phoenix, making her more powerful than ever before. Definitely not a hero you'd want to go up against, though I honestly wouldn't want to go up against Rogue either in this reality, who you just need to be within a mile of to have your powers and life energy drained, which sounds pretty scary, at least if she has any skin exposed. Number 2. Zorn. While she might not have gone dark or taken the powers of Apocalypse, Jean as Zorn from the alternate reality of Earth 13729 is just all around one of the most powerful genes in the multiverse, in my humble opinion. Her powers are like her main counterpart but improved, making her one of the strongest all-around alternates out there. Of course, even then, like most alternate versions of Jean, and even main Jean, Zorn still perished in the end. In X-Men Battle of the Atom issue number 2, we learn that Jean's powers are so great that not even she can apparently handle them, and during the all-out brawl with all the other X-Men and alternate X-Men, she overloads and ends up exploding, creating a massive explosion all around her and leaving nothing left of her own corpse except for her Zorn mask. Number 1. Phoenix/Dark Phoenix. I really wanted to make Zorn my number 1 most powerful alternate Jean, but then I remembered that technically both Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix personas we saw in the comics were not really Jean in the main continuity, which would make Phoenix an alternate as well, albeit a one who we thought at the time was the main Jean and who existed in the main continuity still, living in effect as Jean. Dark Phoenix was powerful enough to destroy a whole planet and the whole Dabari race, which I believe amounted to, I think, billions of lives lost. Later, after sacrificing herself to save everyone from her own darkness, it was revealed that Dark Phoenix wasn't really Jean, but in fact a Jean duplicate created by the Phoenix Force, which used Jean's body and mind as blueprints to create a more powerful version of her while she rested safely beneath Jamaica Bay. So Phoenix and Dark Phoenix both are Jean, but at the same time aren't, which would classify Phoenix as an alternate version technically, and definitely one of the most powerful alternates out there as such. In fact, the creation of that retcon is pretty cool because apparently that retcon had to be created because they wanted to, if they were gonna bring Jean back, make her not guilty for any of the bad stuff she did as Dark Phoenix. So they basically had to make it so that that Jean wasn't the real Jean, which is pretty wild. Number 10. The Grand Inquisitor. This alternate version of Magneto comes to us from the reality of Earth 311, the 1602 reality. Here Magneto is known as Enrique, or by his title as the Grand Inquisitor. It is his job to hunt down and kill any witch breed that he finds. Witch breed in this reality is the name used for mutants. The Grand Inquisitor does as is expected, but secretly saves the witch breed who can pass off as human, only killing those who are very obviously mutated. More often those who have physical mutations which they cannot hide. Due to his clout and title, the Grand Inquisitor is a dangerous character who also holds a lot of power. Number 9. Earth 1. Did you know that there is also a one-off Aquaman villain from Earth 1 named Magneto? True story. This version of the character, who shares the same name with the Marvel villain and anti-hero, was a villainous robot who appeared in Aquaman issue 36 in 1967. DC's villainous robotic Magneto also had the power of magnetism, which allows them to manipulate and control their colleague, the Claw. Together, Torpedo Man, Claw, and Magneto made up the villainous team known as the Awesome Three. While the Awesome Three were ultimately defeated, making this version of Magneto sound pretty tame, Aquaman did remark that he really wouldn't want to tangle with their ilk or their weird alien pal again in the future. And he got his wish, because I'm pretty sure they never really reappeared ever again, despite promising to do so. Also, I feel like the team name Awesome 3 definitely makes them sound not like a villainous team. Awesome 3. Number 8. Mutant X. In this reality, Magneto is actually a hero who is good friends with Charles Xavier, and worked together with him but was forced to turn against his friend after a fight with Shadow King left him changed. During the fight, Charles had absorbed the evil essence of Shadow King, which later caused him to accidentally kill Moira McTaggart, whom Magneto was in love with. Magneto was unable to forgive his friend and decided to rule the X-Men alone, creating a divide in the team. His roster included Polaris, Quicksilver, Nightcrawler, Rogue, and Mystique. In the Mutant X reality of Earth 1298, Magneto would be one of the last heroes left standing and fighting on. Number 7. Earth Z. In the Marvel Zombies reality, Magneto is a proper badass who ends up managing to fight on against the zombies for quite some time. He also has multiple opportunities to leave and save himself, but proves to be a real hero who would rather ensure or avoid risking the safety of many in exchange for putting himself in peril. And it is because of this that he eventually is taken down, bitten, and transformed. Zombie Magneto. Before that, however, he helped to save the Ultimate Universe and chose to refuse help from the Acolytes in order to ensure their safety as survivors. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it where we talk about Magneto, the master of magnetism, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 6. Earth X. Magneto in this reality at a time was very powerful, but then also went the other way later on. Here Magneto was a savior for mutants who fought off the Sentinels. At this time, Sentinels were activated in order to round up all mutants, including burgeoning ones created unknowingly by Terrigen mists, which had been released into Earth's atmosphere. Magneto tricked the Sentinels into pursuing him into the Savage Land, whose climate had actually iron-rich air, which Magneto was able to use to defeat the Sentinels, making a safe haven for all mutated folks, new and old, called Sentinel City. However, while this shows how powerful this version of Magneto could be, for a time he had his powers swapped with Toad, though later this was resolved and Magneto would get his powers back. Number 5. Eric Magnus. What if Magneto could build his own metal robot army? That's kind of what this character is about. Eric Magnus is the Amalgam Universe version of Magneto. He possesses a genius level intellect and the powers of 616 Magneto, being a sort of combined version of DC's Doc Magnus and Marvel's Magneto. In this reality, however, Eric had a brother named Will. While Eric's abilities would manifest in his teens and inspire him to create his own group known as the Brotherhood of Mutants, his brother Will, now terrified of Eric, would use his smarts to create Sentinels, which would go on to destroy Magneto's team, with him being the lone survivor. In retaliation, Magneto would create his own robots to combat his brothers, known as the Uncanny Magnetic Men, whose sole purpose was to protect mutants and destroy the Sentinels. Number 4. Ultimate. Although he was ultimately defeated by Revelation and Logic, as well as a powerful optic blast from Cyclops, Magneto here accomplished a lot of awful stuff before he was apprehended. In the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610, Magneto was a villain due to his hatred of the human race and his desire to dominate and rule over them. He believed basically that Homo superior are just that, superior, and should rule over humankind, the Homo sapiens of Earth. He was the driving force behind Ultimatum, which caused so much death, including the deaths of pretty much almost all of the X-Men. However, in the end he was stopped when he learned that mutants weren't really the next step in evolution, but simply happened as the result of years of experimentation with the super soldier serum, which among other things also created mutants. Learning that his whole philosophy was built on a lie pretty much destroyed Magneto, giving Cyclops the opportunity to take him out. Number 3. Age of Apocalypse. In the reality of Earth 295, Magneto becomes the leader of the X-Men after Charles Xavier dies at the hands of Legion before he was able to ever form the team. Magneto here is the one responsible for defeating Apocalypse, and while he didn't save everyone in his final stand against Apocalypse, he was celebrated as a hero by all of humanity who thought what was actually the work of a near-dead Phoenix Force empowered Jean Grey was actually Magneto's doing. So not only is he immensely powerful here as a leader and a mutant, but he's also celebrated as a hero by the people, enhancing his influence even more. Number 2. Onslaught. Onslaught is definitely one of the most powerful Magneto alternates out there. Technically, this version of Magneto does hail from the main continuity, but he is also both Magneto and not Magneto, which is what makes him an alternate basically. Onslaught is made up of the combined consciousness of both Magneto and Professor X. So if you ever wondered what would happen if you put these two together, the answer is something immensely terrifying that threatens the existence of all heroes across the universe, aka Onslaught. Number 1. Brother Mutant. Brother Mutant is a version of Magneto that came about after the female alternate Magneto from Earth 127 attempted to take Wolverine's adamantium for herself. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately depending on how you want to look at it, her plan failed, resulting in the combined superpowered beings becoming something new. Brother Mutant is a being made out of Wolverine, Magneto, Scarlet Warlock, Quicksilver, and Mesmero combined. This alternate version of the characters therefore possess all their collective abilities, making them pretty OP.